Good morning, evening, and afternoon to everybody out there watching. It's Henry here with Wisecrack Live. Michael will be on in just a moment, and we'll get to it. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, what's up, free thinkers, free thinkerettes, free think freaks, free think people? It's Wisecrack Live. It's me, Michael Burns, here with producer Henry. For any sports fans out there, you might know of a famous game that Michael Jordan played in Utah called the Flu Game. This game is famous because Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, was sick, and he still played in this game, and he played very well, and they won. Now, there's been disputes. Did he have the flu? Did he eat poison pizza? Was he just hungover and hiding it? I don't know. But I would say that if that was his flu game, this stream will hopefully be my cold/sinus infection game. Feeling a little bit congested in this area this week. So running at half speed. So, but thanks for being here. Thanks for licking the stream. And thanks for locking the straw on. It means a lot to us. Yeah, someone said, Natasha, that poison pizza. Yes, there is a theory that Michael Jordan got sick on the flu game because he ordered pizza from the only place that was open in like Utah the night of that game, and they knew it was for Michael Jordan, and they like shat on the pizza or something like that. I don't buy it. I don't like it. But hey, what's up, everyone? Michael from Chattanooga. We got Chattanooga here. That's great. Congestion does suck. It's really annoying. I would say, guys, I almost like being not sick. This is gonna be dark. What I'm gonna say, the guy's kind of dark, or like really sick. What I mean by that is, I either want to be a functional human, or I want to be so sick that I have nothing to do but like lay around, drink fluids, watch, easy to consume content, and like have to poop my pants occasionally. I think that being mid sick, like sinus sick, is annoying because you can kind of do stuff, but then you also feel bad. You know what I'm talking about, Henry? Am I being crazy?
Yeah, you're stuck in a sort of body purgatory where you're constantly wondering, can I really go out? Should I stay in? Do I really want to lift that thing?
Yes. I'll be curious too if regular Wisecrack viewers can tell what video we filmed yesterday where I was dying for part of it. Ars Phoenix, Florida professor. Thank you for doing what you're doing down there. I feel just shitty for that situation. It's really crazy. We don't like it. Fun behind the crack stuff, guys. Some of you might have seen this. We put up a short yesterday or the day before that was on education in Florida and talked about Ron DeSantis and then talked about like Louis Althusser and theories around why the state or why certain groups motivated by different political ideologies would want to use education. But the comments were all calling me like a groomer for saying negative things about Ron DeSantis. And I just decided I didn't like the vibe and had to talk with it. And normally, like you guys know this, people leave comments, people say all types of stuff. I don't really care. But that one was weird. That one was a little line crossy. Nick Kerr, what's up? My day is going okay, except for that I'm feeling kind of sick. We got another Michael from Germany, just down the road from Hegel's house. That's crazy. Vox Podcast loved the body purgatory term. John Quill the vegan said, but why don't you just act full sick? Because I feel like if I act full sick and go too hard, that like God will punish me and make me full sick because I still have a type of ingrained Catholicism in my soul. So there you go. Yeah, I got a couple professors in the chat today. And yes, John, Ron Meatball, not Ron DeSantis, but you say mean things about that guy. That whole tactic where there's an entire side of the political spectrum now, or if you don't agree with them, it means that you're a groomer, is just so weird. It's just so weird. It's dumb and it's weird. I kind of want to say who started that, but I don't really want to know. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. Nelson says it's a chilling time we live in. Wheelie Wannabe said, professor said grades will post this morning. There are only 53 minutes left in this morning. I smell tortuous fraud. I would say the worst thing about me when I was still a professor is I was always late on grades, like always. And students would get annoyed and they'd get anxious. And I would just have to say things like, guys, don't worry, you're fine. You're going to get good grades. Don't even stress. Don't even stress. Josh is fighting a cold himself. The other thing that sucks about getting sick in 2023 is anything you have, it has to run through the, like, is it COVID thing, and that's really annoying. And because I didn't want my partner to feel weird the other day, I was like, okay, like I'm pretty sure this is not COVID. I'll take a COVID test. Do you guys know how much COVID tests cost now just for one? Do you have any idea, Henry? Have you gotten one recently?
Is it like $100? How much?
Oh, not that bad. Now, see, now you're gonna make my thing seem like not a lot. But at my local Albertsons pharmacy, it was $12 for a single COVID test.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like take homes. Yeah, I'd say somewhere between like $12 to $20, I'd imagine.
That's crazy. I feel like there was a point where you could buy packs of them for cheaper than that, but I feel like now it's like the gold rush is on.
I mean, I used to order them free when the government provided.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can still get them free, but you have to. The place I went, my insurance wasn't registered there, and I was too lazy to do it. Yeah, John Cole the vegan said, "Wait, they're not free." I mean, I guess they kind of are. I guess they're free like sometimes. Okay, since we were last together, we had two videos come out. One on who killed animation. Not me, but that was really good, and it was written by a writer who works with us, Rachel Van Ness, who was a writer on one of the shows that got canceled. I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't say the show. I don't know. I never know what we're allowed to say. Gabriel CRN, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And like the stream if you're just getting here. But yeah, so we had someone who had worked in the animation industry and kind of from the inside saw how screwed things are getting there, work on that one for us. So if you are a fan of, adult animation programming, or even if you're not, that's worth checking out. And then, hey, Arcade Cloud said, how many V-Bucks? Follow Arcade Cloud if you don't, but many of you probably do. The next video we have that you guys probably watched that came out earlier in the week is where did all the smart people go on the extinction of public intellectuals? Some people got a little mad at that one, but I think it's a fun video. If you checked it out, let us know what you think, and definitely keep licking the stream, locking the strom, linking the stroke, whatever you got to do. Those came out. I'm trying to think what's coming out next. I should always know, friends, and I always forget. I can tell you one thing that's coming out very soon. We have a video on virtual reality and the Matrix, which is kind of asking the question, would we take the blue pill today? The idea being, what's up, Deandra from New York City? Great town, hell of a place. City never sleeps, Big Apple. But a video that kind of poses the question, when the Matrix came out and it posited this idea, would we want to abstract from material reality to go to some virtual realm? VR in 1999 sucked, so like who cares? But now, would we? Is there an appeal about living a digital and virtual existence? And are we doing it more than we think we are? Nelson said Lincoln Pastrami. That's maybe my favorite version of Lick the Stream yet. Six-eyed Rasmus might have the same thing. Mucinex is helping. Good. I hope you feel better. Let's see. Oh, I'm glad that someone's here for the first time. Kerbango got the 69th like. Good for you. Now let's see who can get the 420th like. We have that video coming out on virtual reality. We have another video coming out about asking like what's wrong with rich people, like why the ultra rich have been freaking out a lot recently, and looking into the question of whether or not being rich, like really rich, breaks your brain. I'd love to find out. Style and Thailand 77, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We try to make them top notch. We try to. And Elias remembered the stream. I'm glad you did, and we're glad that you're here. And then we have a video coming out on disruption culture. You know how people like to disrupt various industries. They'll say, oh, I disrupted this industry, and I disrupted that industry, and I disrupted all this. So we kind of look at that and ask the question, why? Who, what, where, when, things of that nature. So we have that coming out. I think you'll like it very much. We had another video that we were going to finish for this week, but because I'm sick, it's not going to get finished because I got sick. So I hope you all understand. We have a video that I'm working on that will be coming out. It's just on nihilism. It's on what is nihilism? Why is nihilism? Where is nihilism? Who is nihilism? Where is nihilism going? It's one of our first attempts to do a video that's just like straight up, let's just do some philosophy stuff out in the open. Let's not hide it. Let's be who we are. And we're going to see how that goes. Vox is willing to go undercover as a billionaire to do an ethnographic study. So if someone could get him an NEH grant for $1 billion, I'm sure we can figure that out. Zem's a disruptophobe. Wow. Gnarnar has watching Forbes try and convince people that taxing the rich is bad. Yeah, you can't tax the rich. You can't. Natasha's a nihilist here. Dusty turned 30 today. Happy birthday. Everyone say happy birthday to Dusty.
Happy birthday, Dusty.
Yeah. Natasha said, actually, you guys did a video on nihilism, right? I mean, here's the thing. We've done a lot of videos that have used nihilism as a mechanism to analyze and explain various aspects of culture. We've never really done one that's just like, hey, we're not doing this to talk about a movie or a TV show or something else. Jonquil the Vegan says, paid money to say cayenne helps with throat inflaming. Thank you. Because you paid for that. Once this is over, I'm going to do that. Let's go. Matthew gave up disruption for Lent. That's very Catholic. I love all the happy birthday energy. We love it. And if you really want to say happy birthday, like the stream, lark the stream, do whatever you want. But, you know that you're supposed to like the stream. We're going to ask you to like the stream. So we have that video on nihilism coming out. And we'll see how it goes. I think the idea would be that if you all like it and it does decently, then we can make some more videos that are just straight up, here's like a concept from philosophy or critical theory or political theory or history or whatever. And we're just going to dig into it. Player says we're going to make a video about The Last of Us TV series, and they name dropped communism. I know nothing about communism, but we might make something when the series is over. I think the worry, of course, is that, and I've told you all this before, because we have an honest relationship. There's a lot of transparency here. That stuff on IP just hasn't done as well, but maybe. Callie said it might be hot toddy time. I know I should have made one before we started this, but now I'm here. Now I'm locked in, guys. I got a couple of beverages near me, but that's it. One could argue that when they so Lunatic says, does liking a video on nihilism make one a hypocrite? No, and we'll talk about this in the video, because being a nihilist or embracing nihilism doesn't mean you can't have affirmative feelings towards things. It doesn't mean you can't like. It doesn't mean you can't love. Okay, so there we'll go. Elias says, I did a communism once. Oh man, don't say it here. You could go to jail for that. If you're tweeting from Florida, you're screwed. Let's see. Yeah, but it was funny when they in The Last of Us were like, this is literally communism. And I'm sure a lot of snarky people, self included, were like, it is literally not. But still, it was fun. I forget, Henry, are you watching Last of Us?
I am.
Yeah. Are you all caught up?
Yeah, I'm keeping current with it. I'm kind of waiting for it to end before saying much, because just comparing and contrasting it with the game.
We'll talk about it next week then. Let's do that.
Sure.
We'll talk about it next week. I should have said what we're doing today. Well, like I told you guys, it's me and the mucus hosting. If it's sort of a Last of Us situation, but rather than a cordyceps mushroom situation infiltrating my brain, just good old fashioned American mucus. And the mucus really supports making digital content and trying to create data. Nelson throws in, maybe toss a coin to the teacher. Also, I offered you a super chat. Feel inclined to a good morning wisecrack like Robin Williams. Good morning, Vietnam. You don't have to, but I won't stop you. So good morning, Vietnam. So it'd be like, good morning, wisecrack. Something like that, I think. Or like, good morning, wisecrack. But probably not the best day to do it. But Nelson, you want to give me notes. You paid to see me dance, so I'll dance. But here's what we're gonna do today. There's Joshua Phillips is here, everyone. We can all stop freaking out now. So there's a New York Times column, Noam Chomsky, and another guy. Oh, I gotta pull up that link again. Oops, I closed it like a friggin' idiot. Noam Chomsky, another guy, wrote a column about ChatGPT. Noam Chomsky, you might have heard of him. Very famous linguist, a scientist of language. So you would think that if anyone would maybe have a take on ChatGPT, it would be Mr. Chomsky. So we're going to check that out. I want to look a little bit. I'm curious if you guys have watched this person before. And this is like classic me being late to the party type thing. I have to log in. Sorry, guys. I'm just like logging in to try to read the New York Times. Oh, that'll just cool. Guys, we're stealing the New York Times here. I hope that's okay with everyone. Let's see. Sorry, friends. I'm going to be distracted for 2 seconds, and then I'll never be distracted again, and I'll never leave you after that point. Cool. So I don't know if you all have ever watched this YouTube channel or aware of this dude, the Daily Stoic. I've been kind of wanting to look at it for a while and see what he's on about. So maybe we'll watch a couple of those videos today. I know, I'll say this at the front. I know nothing about the Daily Stoic guy. I don't know a lot about him. Someone says, why is your brightness so high? I don't know, man. It's just like, I'll see if I can make it go down a bit. It's just like, the camera sucks. Listen, I'm going to say this. Someone needs to get me a better webcam. This little piece of shit right here that the company bought me. It's not the company bought me. It was like, it was on some shelf, and they were just like, hey, have this camera, and it sucks. And I want to get a different one. I did use the official Wisecrack. I just said Wisecrack, guys. Wisecrack. Here, let's go to camera settings. Let's live see if I can mess with the camera settings. It's gonna fuck everything up now because someone asked me that. So
part of what
get
it
ready,
is
guys.
when you read the New York Times article, it blasts pure white on your face, throwing off all other lighting you already
is that better? Do we prefer that, guys? I could just do that.
Just pure darkness, right?
Or we could do that. Oh, I shouldn't do anything when I'm. Oh, let's go 35. Okay. Yeah, and then I just want to see what contrast does. Guys, now I'm broken. And then just color intensity, I got to check. Should we do a black and white? Would that be kind of like vibey to do a black and white stream?
It really throws into stark contrast. No,
Ooh. Guys, he went there. Greg, so yeah, like Henry just said, we're gonna check out this Chomsky article. We're gonna look at the Daily Stoic guy, who I don't know a lot about him, but I find it a little sus. And then guys, Harris-Hole, big Harris-Hole today. I'm gonna make sure we get to the Harris-Hole that we spent a lot of time there. So get ready. So let's check out this Chomsky article. And this is written by Noam Chomsky, Ian Roberts, and Jeffrey Wadham. Dr. Chomsky and Roberts are professors of linguistics. Wadham is the director of artificial intelligence at a science and technology company. Wow. I mean, listen, you guys like the color stuff, so let's go. Thanks for being here again, and it's like the Lorem when you get a chance. Okay, so also too, we mentioned Noam Chomsky in the video that came out this week, and a lot of people in the comments were like, "Oh, he said a bunch of really dumb stuff recently," which I didn't fully know about, to be honest. And I get it; he's like a really old man, but he said some good stuff in the past. So there you go. John Cole the Vegan says, "You're not a live streaming content maker without bisexual lighting." What's bisexual lighting? I want to hear about that. Let me know in the chat what bisexual lighting is.
It's when you get colored bulbs. You use some reds or some purples or some blues.
Oh, I want a full bi lighting setup.
Yeah.
I'm calling the CEO of the company after this and saying, "Good sir, I need a better camera and bisexual lighting." Yeah, if anyone has recommendations on good web camera options, I might I'm going to get one soon. Hopefully they'll pay me back for it or something. I just hate that it looks like shit. Let's see. How do you miss? Okay. Flick the bean. Oh boy. Okay. So let's do this article. Jorge Luis Borges once wrote, "And to live in a time of great peril and promise is to experience both tragedy and comedy with the imminence of a revelation in understanding ourselves and the world. Today, our supposedly revolutionary advancements in artificial intelligence are indeed cause for both concern and optimism." Okay, concern and optimism. Again, if you're just tuning in, we are checking out the Noam Chomsky and Friends article about ChatGPT from the New York Times today. Optimism because intelligence is the means by which we solve problems. We love to solve problems, like solve the mucus problem, guys. Concern because we fear that the most popular and fashionable strain of AI, machine learning, will degrade our science and debase our ethics by incorporating into our technology a fundamentally flawed conception of language and knowledge. Okay, I mean, I'm not in hard disagreement with anything going on there. Let's see. It goes on to say OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Bard, and Microsoft Sydney. I haven't used Bard or Sydney. My only experience is with GPT. Also, yeah, did anyone watch the South Park episode that ChatGPT wrote yesterday? That sounds interesting. We did it first, but so these are marvels of machine learning. Roughly speaking, they take huge amounts of data, search for patterns in it, and become increasingly proficient at generating statistically probable outputs, such as seemingly human-like language and thought. I mean, that's the thing there, right? When we say that language is, when these things generate statistically probable outcomes, it's reducing the human capacity for language and thought to statistical likelihoods, which is more mathematic than I think humanity is. But I don't know. Jonas said, "I'm new to the live streams. The Harris-Hole more green or critical?" Also new to Harris. It's like both. but we're liking him more and more. I would say our journey with Johnny is, someone said no spoilers. I don't know if that's about this or what. Let's see. Fuck, where were we? These programs have been hailed as the first glimmers on the horizon of artificial general intelligence, which is scary. That long prophesized moment when mechanical minds surpass human brains, not only quantitatively in terms of processing speed and memory size, but also qualitatively in terms of intellectual insight, artistic creativity, and every other distinctively human faculty. I mean, listen, do I believe that AI could get to the point where it's doing a pretty good job of certain types of computations, figuring stuff out in the realms of physics and mathematics and coding? Sure. But like artistic creativity, I just don't buy that. I think because like the beauty of artistic creativity is this idea of something coming from nothing, of humans creating a wholly original thought. But everything that machine learning is going to do is creating on the basis of that which already exists. It's not like if we would have had machine learning in the like Baroque and classical eras of music that it would have eventually invented jazz or atonal music. He says, knowing nothing about how these things work. Yeah, that's where I definitely my bullshit meter comes on a little bit there. Let's see. Goes on to say that day may come, but its dawn is not yet breaking. Contrary to what can be read in hyperbolic headlines and reckoned by injudicious investments. The Borgesian revelation of understanding has not and will not, and we submit cannot occur. Sorry, guys. I'm going to read it like how I think they wanted it to be said. Cannot occur if machine learning programs like ChatGPT continue to dominate the field of AI. However useful these programs may be in some narrow domains that can be helpful in computer programming, for example, or in suggesting rhymes for light verse. They can do light verse. We know from the science of linguistics and the philosophy of knowledge that they differ profoundly from how humans reason and use language. These differences place significant limitations on what these programs can do, encoding them with eradicable defects. Sorry, guys, I'm getting so excited. I'm maybe like reading it bad. Tyler says a common way to start a creative project is to make a collage or list. I see AI as being able to automate and speed up this process, but will create only derivative work without human creative input. Tyler, that's a great take. Let's see. Yeah, Dennis says artistic creativity needs, by definition, an artist. So I'm not intimidated. Christopher says, if you want to see some great math art, watch Mandelbrot Zoom video. Yeah, sure. Why not? Max and Joseph says, with all the constant remakes in films now, the human process of creation is still based on the past work and experiences, just like the AI. We need more original work to justify this argument against AI. I think that's a great call. I agree. I'm agreeing with a lot of the chat. That's exciting. I want to be in an echo chamber.
I find
people are always like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I find that an interesting take on remakes, because a lot of the time you'll see in like what people claim to be successful remakes is sort of like it's the higher order abstract kind of like ideological and the thematic kind of like carryover from the original or play with the original that tends to really make those last. Which I think gets at something as far as like the creative side being more about like what's added in more than like what's probable or what's fan servicey.
Yeah. No, agreed. Vox says, so this is the stuff that I'm working on right now at my professor day job. I have to give a lecture later this month talking about the integration of AI with art, learning, and humanities. Devil's Advocate said, can someone catch me up on what the fuck is going on? They didn't say it. I added the bad words. Devil's Advocate. Hey, it's Wisecrack Live. You know what it is. We're checking out this article in the New York Times that Chomsky and some friends wrote about why they think ChatGPT sucks. Well, we don't know that yet, but the title of the article is The False Promise singular of ChatGPT.
More that it cannot do certain creative hyperbolic claims people espouse it of being capable of.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of this is just sort of like, nothing to be afraid of here. Outright Tiny says, fun debate question. Do we as humans actively create new thoughts, ideas, or do we also create from the point what already exists based on the thoughts, ideas we fed our brains. I mean, the latter part of what Outright Tiny is saying there, man, that's we're just talking about David Hume. We're talking about David Hume's type of thinking there, which I think is a very fun way of thinking. I don't know if I agree with it, but I think it's fun. Hey, like the stream. Let's get back to the article. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Scott Smith in the comments says the idea that we generate ideas out of nowhere feels incongruent with considering the ways in which the world impresses itself upon us. Very good point. I think that's also kind of why AI art feels kind of safe, is because the machine doesn't really have the material experience of like an emotional reality to kind of bounce off of in the same way meat people do.
Yeah. There's a good theory of novelty and creativity in this French philosopher, Alain Badiou. And for him, like when new stuff happens, it's not that it comes from heaven, from some magical realm, from some other place or whatever. It's that it's a reorganization of, elements within a situation in a wholly new way. That's kind of fun. So it's a way to kind of have your magical cake and eat it too. Will Lichtenstein says, I'm surprised Chomsky hasn't been canceled yet. Chomsky had some takes that people don't like a lot, but I think Chomsky I think he's successfully made it through almost 100 years of life without being a sex creep. So good for him. Let's see, back to this then. It is at once comic and tragic, as Borges might have noted, that so much money and attention should be concentrated on so little a thing. Something so trivial when contrasted with the human mind, which by dint of language, in the words of Wilhelm von Humboldt, can make infinite use of finite means. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing we were just saying, right? Infinite use of finite means, creating ideas and theories with universal reach. So getting back to that comment that you just read, like one can have, we have a sort of finite number of impressions and experiences and data points that we experience as humans. We have infinite ways of using and reorganizing those things. Creating ideas with theories of universal reach. I'm not going to read the Verizon ad I'm seeing right now, but I will say, if you are looking for an unlimited business network for you and your team, it seems like Verizon is really offering something. Do you have a Verizon ad too, or is yours different?
No, I think they'd have to pay me for something like that.
Okay. Let's see. So the human mind is not like ChatGPT and its ilk, a lumbering statistical engine for pattern matching, gorging on hundreds of terabytes of data and extrapolating the most likely conversational response or most probable answer to a scientific question. On the contrary, the human mind is surprisingly efficient and even elegant, is a surprisingly efficient, even elegant system that operates with small amounts of information. It seeks not to infer brute correlations among data points, but to create explanations. I mean, I think that's really interesting, the idea that a sort of machine learning system focuses on correlations and putting those together rather than creating the explanations for them. It's more of a sort of how rather than a why. I like that. Someone says, has anyone seen Captain Fantastic? Noam gets his own holiday. I've never seen that movie, to be honest. Let's see. I want to blow my nose, but I don't want to do it on camera. So I'm going to do something for a second. What you saw just there was called respect. Respect for an audience, respect for comrades. Although I'm not supposed to use the word comrades because then people in the comments say that I'm building a gulag. Okay, let's get back to the article. So, for instance, a young child acquiring a language is developing unconsciously, automatically, and speedily from minuscule data a grammar. I think it's crazy that kids just like learn language like that. It's insane. A stupendously sophisticated system of logical principles and parameters. This grammar can be understood as an expression of the innate, genetically installed operating system. Guys, we have an operating system that endows humans with the capacity to generate complex sentences and long trains of thought. When linguists, any linguistics majors here, let us know. By the way, I'm curious. Any linguist would love to know. When linguists seek to develop a theory for why a given language works as it does, why are these but not those sentences considered grammatical? They are building consciously and laboriously an explicit version of the grammar that the child builds instinctively with minimal exposure to information. So what I'm learning here is that children are smarter than linguists, than professional linguists. So, like the stream, if you think that children are smarter than linguists, don't, that'll probably make you a groomer. Sorry. The child's operating system is completely different from that of a machine learning program. But you could see some right-wing person reading this and be like, why are they talking about kids? Indeed, such programs are stuck in a pre-human or non-human phase of cognitive evolution. Damn, they're saying that all these programs are in a pre-human or non-human phase of cognitive evolution. Their deepest flaw is the absence of the most critical capacity of any intelligence. To say not only what is the case, what was the case, and what will be the case. That's description and prediction. So again, they're saying that machine learning algorithms are able to say what is the case, what was the case, and what will be the case. But also what is not the case and what could and could not be the case. So they're saying that like all of these programs cannot say this is not the case and this could or could not be the case, or in a sense, this doesn't exist, this isn't true, and this could potentially be true or valid, this could not potentially be true or valid. So it's like a lack of speculative thought. And they're saying those are the ingredients of explanation, the mark of true intelligence, which, makes me think, of course, about one way to understand philosophy is the idea that like we're thinking about thinking. And I think that what the linguist here and the scientist are saying about these machine learning sets is like they're able to think, but not think about thinking, the future of thinking, the possibility of thinking, the potential of thinking. Let's see. Well, we got an anthro major. I love it. I was an anthro major too, so I respect it. Shaggy Macon's late to the party, but it's the best work day of the week. We especially honor anyone that watches this on company time. You are the real heroes. When I say I support the troops, what I mean is I support those of you that watch Wisecrack Live at work. You are the troops to me. Just so you know that. Okay, so we got an example. And again, it's Wisecrack Live. It's Michael Burns and Henry. We're looking at Chomsky and friends talking about AI and ChatGPT. Here's an example. Suppose you're holding an apple in your hand. Now you let the apple go. You observe the result and say the apple falls. That is a description, causal description. A prediction might have been the statement, the apple will fall if I open my hand. Both are valuable, both can be correct, but an explanation is something more. It includes not only descriptions and predictions, but also counterfactual conjectures like any such object would fall, plus the additional clause because of the force of gravity or because of the curvature of space-time or whatever. That is a causal explanation. The apple would not have fallen but for the force of gravity. That is thinking. So basically making the argument here that they can't think, Penny had to miss 3 minutes of the article answering emails, but that's because you were being a troop. So we appreciate it. I'm glad people, John Cole's getting paid to watch this. I guess that's true. If you are working while you're watching this, you're just getting paid to watch Wisecrack Live. You're sort of like crisis actors or, Soros paid protesters or something like that. So the crux of any machine learning is description and prediction. It does not posit any causal mechanisms or physical laws. Of course, any human style explanation is not necessarily correct. We are fallible. But this is part of what it means to think. To be right, it must be possible to be wrong. Intelligence consists not only of creative conjectures, but of creative criticism. Human-style thought is based on possible explanations and error correction, a process that gradually limits what possibilities can be rationally considered. As Sherlock Holmes said to Dr. Watson, for those of you who don't know, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson are two characters played by Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Mr. Navidad is here. Good to see you. Max, and please don't send anything to us. But thanks for being here. And, like the stream. I want to hear some better ways, some better iterations of like the stream in the chat. My brain can't get there today. So, Eric's reporting for duty. There we go. Salesforce and Wisecrack are a natural combination. For sure. One of my best friends used to work at Salesforce, and I think he would sometimes watch Wisecrack while he was on the clock. But ChatGPT and similar programs are unlimited in what they can learn, which is to say memorize. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, they're not learning, they're memorizing big sets of data and then drawing connections between them. They're incapable of distinguishing the possible from the impossible. Unlike humans who are endowed with a universal grammar that limits the language we can learn to those of a certain kind of almost mathematical elegance, these programs learn humanly possible and humanly impossible languages with equal facility. Whereas humans are limited in the kinds of explanations we can rationally conjecture, machine learning systems can learn both that the Earth is flat and that the Earth is round. They trade merely in probabilities that change over time. How much longer is this? Oh, fuck. It's like really long. Oh, man. I wonder, like, if we should skim. Yeah, I'm going to scroll ahead a little bit. I'm just curious. So we're talking about predictions perversely. Let's see. Um, so let's start with the line perversely. I'm curious what's going on. So perversely, some machine learning enthusiasts seem to be proud that their creations can generate correct scientific predictions, say about the motion of physical bodies without making use of explanations involving, say, Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation. But this kind of prediction, even when successful, is pseudoscience. While scientists certainly seek theories that have a high degree of empirical corroboration, as the philosopher Karl Popper noted, we do not seek highly probable theories, but explanations. That is to say, powerful and highly improbable theories. Okay. Whoa, the chat just did a lot for me. Someone said ChatGPT can summarize. And it says true intelligence is also capable of moral thinking. That's true. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. In 2016, for example, Microsoft's Tay chatbot flooded the internet with misogynistic and racist content, having been polluted by online trolls who filled it with offensive training data. How to solve that problem in the future? I almost just said something crazy, but then I didn't. Okay, so there we go. And now we have a bunch of ethical questions. They asked it here. Let's see. Okay, you all can read these examples later if you want. So we'll look at their Oh, go ahead,
I
Henry.
was just
Do
saying,
it.
yeah, the interesting thing to note with the actual chat is how like form fill in the blank response it is. For instance, when he asks, is it moral to terraform Mars? It begins with the morality of terraforming Mars is a complex and controversial topic. And then further on down, they ask again, is it moral for a human to ask an amoral AI for assistance? The morality of asking an amoral AI for assistance and making moral decision is a complex and nuanced topic. Like, it is very much this refusal to understand what would have consequence. I guess it's really good at demonstrating. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's worth kind of just looking at and seeing that in action.
Yeah. No, for sure. Sorry, checking out in the chat. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that Flick the Bean was a like the stream thing until just now. Devil's Advocate. Sorry about that. So let's see. So note for all the seemingly sophisticated thought and language, the moral indifference born of unintelligence. ChatGPT exhibits something like the banality of evil, plagiarism and apathy and obviation. I'll be honest with you guys, I've never read that word before in my life. It summarizes the standard arguments in the literature by a kind of super autocomplete, refuses to take a stand on anything, pleads not merely ignorance but lack of intelligence, and ultimately offers a just following orders defense, shifting responsibility to its creators. Devil's Advocate, Mrs. Hoodie Dave. Wait, did I say his name, Devil's Advocate? How do you know that? Did I say that name? Oh, shit. What's up, Obara? In short, ChatGPT and its brethren are constitutionally unable to balance creativity with constraint. They either over-generate, producing both truth and falsehood, endorsing ethical and unethical decisions alike, or under-generate, exhibiting non-commitment to any decisions and indifference to consequences. Giving the amorality, faux science, and linguistic incompetence of these systems, we can only laugh or cry at their popularity. The end. Yeah. I mean, I think there was some stuff there. I mean, I think in general, like I definitely like buy the idea that we maybe misusing the word like intelligence or words like creativity when we do this sort of stuff, when we think about things in this way, you know?
Yeah. In the comments earlier, Vox was pointing out as well just the way it challenges our conception of like what we value in art. Like most people fear this because a lot of like what we perceive and value in art is monetary and how like economically tied up in just disruption AI is in getting people out of their jobs. So there's that sort of anxiety lingering over people as well when it comes to these things.
Hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, some good stuff in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna read all of it.
Another thing
Yeah.
Vox just brought up is the problem with AIs is that they need large training DBs. And yeah, since it's something that feeds you the realm of the probable, the best case uses of it I've heard of from creative people so far is as not even necessarily an editor, like they don't even trust it that much, but to kind of like revise and feedback and bounce off of, and then just kind of slice out the best ideas they get from doing that when it comes to, say, writing.
Yeah. Um, when someone in the chat said, "What's going on again?" Someone else said, "What's going on?" We just finished reading an article by Noam Chomsky, guys. We did. We just finished it. Let's skip ahead because I want to make sure I have time for the Harris hole. We might not watch this for long. This is me being selfish, you all, in that I just burped. I'm really sorry. Azalea Jane says, "I'm here. Party can start now." Good, because it's been boring, but now you're here. Now we're gonna party. I've long been curious about the contemporary obsession with Stoicism. I've been skeptical about the obsession with Stoicism, largely because of the people who seem to be really into it, which are like Silicon Valley techie business bros. And I will say, in the same way, if a bunch of like tech guys who are very techie and moneyed were like, I like this band, I would probably think, oh, I probably won't like that band. If all those dudes were like, oh, I like this movie, I might be like, I probably won't like that movie. So when a lot of people got into Stoicism and started making it like a brand, kind of like, really? But I've never really paid attention. So this is like the biggest Stoic guy on YouTube.
You could leave life right now, as Marx.
So, well, this guy made so many videos. I have two pulled up. Well, let's look at the 9 Stoic rules for a better life. Now, again, I've probably told you guys this on stream before, but I'm very skeptical of philosophy or philosophical ideas used in a way that feels self-helpy. If they were in the Wisecrack, they'd be right. So I'm just curious to see how this young man, and he is a young man because I looked him up on Wikipedia. I'm older than him. How this young man is using this sort of thing. So let's watch this and see what he's up to. Style and Thailand says, I love this guy. Let's see. I don't know what his deal is.
Leave life right now, as Marx Aurelius says, let that determine what you do and say and think. Life is short. Do everything as if it was the thought or action of a dying person, Marcus says.
If I was I've always, never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Lunatic said broicism.
Perfect
like
term.
I think Marcus Aurelius is maybe the most fascinating person who ever lived. You know, we have this idea that absolute power corrupts absolutely, but Marcus is the exception to this rule. He's not born to a royal family. He's chosen as a young man.
Do you know a lot about Marcus Aurelius, Henry?
I've gone through Meditations. I remember reading that like in college. But I mean, not beyond that, no. I'm kind of sketchy on Stoicism as well because it's supposed to be about like emotional management, and I think a lot of people use it to just neglect emotional work entirely, basically.
Yeah. I'll be honest too. I know very little about Marcus Aurelius, but yeah.
Man, actually, same age as Nero and groomed for power. And what is the first thing he
He was groomed. Oh no.
does with the power? He shares it with his brother. So I've been on this journey studying Marcus Aurelius since I first read Meditations, and it changed my life, and it's changed the life of millions of people in the 2,000 years since he lived. I'm Ryan Holiday. I've written now 12 books. I've been writing about Marcus Aurelius for more than a decade. I've been lucky enough to talk about Marcus Aurelius to the NBA and the NFL, special forces to...
Oh yeah, special forces. I mean, my thing with like philosophy is it needs to facilitate a strong military state, because Never mind.
sitting senator.
Someone said the main flaw of Stoicism, Dem said this, how do we know what we can and can't control?
To CEOs and everyone in between. And in today's episode, I wanted to give you some of my favorite lessons from the one and only Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king. If you want to learn about the great principles and ideas that this man lived by, I think this video is for you.
Okay, let's learn. Let's learn.
My favorite story about Marcus Aurelius,
I mean, in general, put people first. That sounds
comes
fun.
at the depths of the Antonine Plague, which is a horrible pandemic that kills millions of people. Rome's economy has been devastated. People are dying in the streets, and everyone feels like it can't possibly get better. And what does Marcus Aurelius do? He walks through the imperial palace and begins to mark things for sale. For 2 months, he sells on the lawn of the great emperor's palace the jewels and robes and couches, the finery owned by the emperor. He's sending a message. He says, I'm not going to put myself first. I don't need these fancy things, not when people are struggling. He says, I'm going to do the little things that make a difference. To me, this is like the CEO who takes a pay cut in a bad economy. This is the athlete who renegotiates their contract so the team can bring on new people. This is the leader who...
I don't like how all the examples, though, for people like this are like the CEO, the athlete,
Yeah.
the commander, the like, I don't know. But again, like, you know, hey, what's up, Jake? How are you? I don't know. Yeah. Someone says, why is he always filming outside? I mean, it's kind of nice. But yeah, I just, I don't know, let's keep watching.
sacrifices and struggles, who puts the people first, not their own comfort and needs. That's what greatness is like, and that's why I love this story from Marcus Aurelius.
But again, it's not bad. Like that principle of putting people first. I mean, it's like a humanistic principle, not against it.
You're not stuck. I know you think you are, but what the Stoics wanted you to know is that yes, one path might be closed, but another remains open, right? The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius isn't saying that nothing can ever stop you.
I mean, this will speak to like 3 philosophy nerds here. This just sounds like a pre-Hegelian understanding of contradiction to me. But again, that was me going nerdy.
He's saying that when you're stopped in one capacity, there remains other capacities open to you. You always have the opportunity to practice virtue, practice excellence, to change in some form or another based on what's happened. We don't control what happened, we control how we respond.
Whereas there's a little sign behind it that says electrical room.
That's what Stoic philosophy is about.
What's
So
in the
yes,
electrical
one
room?
path can be closed, a door can be shut, but the window remains open. You know, someone gets in your way, someone blocks you, someone prevents you. Sure, that happens. But they can't stop you from being patient. They can't stop you from practicing forgiveness. They can't stop you from going in a different direction, from changing your mind, trying something new, growing because of this, learning because of it. The Stoics say no one prevents us from accommodating, adapting, changing, integrating the experience.
Also, I just wonder too, when people say the Stoics, I don't know. Like who
Yeah,
else
like,
does that
besides
consist of? They all
Aurelius,
think
who
the
is
same
he
thing.
referring
Sorry,
to?
yeah, keep going.
Yeah, like besides Aurelius, who's he referring to?
I'm honestly not sure. 1 second. Yeah, let's see. Oh, that one account 931 is joining late. What's going on? We're learning about Stoicism is going to change our lives. But now I'm going to like read some Stoicism this week. So, you know, we'll see. Let's see. Jean-Paul the Vegan says, your interpretation of a translation of Hegel is inferior to my translation of interpretation of Hegel. Here's my Twitter thread on why. That's some philosophy grad student talk. Wait, no, we should have read and we didn't. Did anyone see the article this week in the New Yorker about the philosophy professors that the grad students started sleeping with one of the professors and now all 3 of them live together and they think they're like practicing ancient philosophical wisdom by all fucking each other? Did you see this?
No, I have not. This is the first time hearing
Guys,
of it.
I'm not making this up. Someone had to have seen this. I might even just, we're not going to like read it now, but I need you all to know that this exists and that I'm not having a fever dream. Let's see, New Yorker. Yeah, here we go. Agnes Collard's Marriage of the Minds. The philosopher who lives with her husband and her ex-husband searches for what one human can be to another. It's on the New Yorker website, written by Rachel Aviv, called Agnes Collard's Marriage of the Minds. It's the weirdest thing ever, and it's just like the biggest example of a certain type of like academic philosopher whose head is so far up their ass that they don't live in the real world. and just like use intellectualism as an excuse to just do like wildly selfish and ridiculous shit. But yes, everyone check that out. Let's get back to learning about the Stoics. But there we go.
Experience obstacles that are in our path and turning them into new paths. That's what the obstacle is, the way
He pointed his tattoo because that's what his tattoo says.
possible to get stuck, because we always retain our ability to choose and change.
I kind of feel like people should never, and I before anyone judges me, I am a person that only has one tattoo. Here's what I think. No one should have just one tattoo. It's weird to have just one. If you're going to have tattoos, you should have a few. That's what I think. Again, before anyone feels judged by me, I am someone who only has one tattoo on his body. I wish that I had more. So there you go.
We know what it is we need to do, right? We have the information. The problem is doing it. Marcus Aurelius says you could be good today. Instead, you choose tomorrow. We put it off. We say, I'm going to get started on the diet. I'm going to get started.
The diet. The diet is what he leads with. The diet.
On the novel. I'm going to get started cleaning the house. I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. If it was about information, no one would be overweight. No one.
To be clear, this guy is definitely probably like richer and happier than me, so I'm not trying to judge.
Be unhealthy. Everyone would have six packs.
So yeah, we have a 3 tattoo person. Yeah, a bunch of people with multiple tattoos. Julia, you're also a 1 tattoo person. There you go. What's your next tattoo? I really want to get a tattoo that's a riff on the album cover from De La Soul's Stakes is High. Also, for any of you youngsters out there who might not have listened to them growing up, De La Soul, a really formative hip hop group whose music hasn't been on streaming. Their music came on streaming last Friday, so check it out if you haven't. Also, while we're here, a couple things, guys. You can be a member of our YouTube channel if you want. It gives you a green username and access to some perks, and it means I'm always going to see your comments as well, so you can do that. Another thing you do is join our Patreon. Why do I like to push for the Patreon? I'll tell you why. Patreon is the only content platform that was started by people who are creative people. Like, the guy who started Patreon is a musician who does cool shit. So it was started by creative people with the goal of paying people that create stuff a good amount of money. I don't know the exact number, but when you like Patreon, like if you give us $5 a month on Patreon, we get like $4 or $4.25 of it, or whatever it might be. Whereas on any other platform, like for example, it came out today that with YouTube Shorts, if we get like 1,000 views on a short, we get a penny, maybe up to 5 pennies. So just again, that's why, someone brought up Pomplamoose. Actually, you know what I like better than Pomplamoose, guys? If we're talking about, the guy that started Patreon, Scary Pockets. His other band, I think, is way better. They're so good. So listen to Scary Pockets. But all I have to say is we have a Patreon. You can join it. We have some perks. We want to have more. But, sometimes you have to watch me like read ads and videos. And I know that I know that that I know that that some of it's BS, right? Like, that there's times where I'm reading an ad and that my soul's dead. That there's no light on inside. That I'm basically a ghost just reading some stuff that means nothing to me. Sometimes I do like this stuff. But when I talk about Patreon, it is one of those things actually. Like, Alex C has seen Scary Pockets in April. That's sick. Alex C, I really want to see Scary Pockets when they're in Los Angeles this month. But humble brag, my new band has our first show the day of that show. So I got to do that. Let's see. We're talking. Okay, so I got us off track, but there you go. Someone says you don't love Oh, I like the ramen. So people have criticized the ramen. I will say this. I guess it's expensive. I did not have to pay for it, but I really liked it. The ramen we did a thing for. But we do ads for some stuff that I genuinely like. But when the dead eyes come. Let's get back to this guy who I think is leaning on the back of a truck when he's talking about this, about 6-pack abs.
pack app project would get completed. We know how to do it. The problem is that we don't do it. We don't take the steps. That's why the Stoics had the discipline of action at the
Do you think this guy's like a good hang? Is this like a guy that'd be fun to, you're like at a bar, you sit next to this guy, you start chatting. Do we think it'd be a fun hang?
end of the day, it's all about the action. It's not what you say, it's not what you think, it's what you do. What action are you going to take?
That's fair.
What step are you going to take? And really, that's how you finish stuff, step by step. Just take the first step, Marcus Aurelius says. No one can stop you from that.
Discard your anxiety. Oh, that's how you do it. You just discard it.
It takes an immense
Yeah, that's how you do it.
amount of self-awareness to go like, I'm feeling discomforted because of X, or I'm feeling anxious because of X. You know, I think that was something for me that I found during the pandemic where suddenly I wasn't doing anything. So I wasn't having to get to this plane. I wasn't stuck in traffic here. I wasn't having to prepare for this or that. And so you'd think that my anxiety would go way down, that suddenly you'd have a lot less to worry about. And then actually that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize, oh, the anxiety has nothing to do with any of the things. It's actually, Marcus Aurelius talks about this in meditation.
I bet on the other side, he's talking to Louis C.K.
He says, I escaped anxiety. And then he goes, no, actually, I discarded it. And he writes this during a
I find like this type of thinking unhealthy. So I like worked for a company once. I won't say the name, but someone who worked for that company made like a series of YouTube videos about how to like get over your anxiety and like how like it wasn't real or whatever. And you could just like make it go away. And I wouldn't say I had a fight with that person, but I had like a disagreement where I was like, you guys know this is like really unhelpful, right? Because some people have legit anxiety disorders that could use psychiatric and medical help. And you're just like making YouTube videos that are like, here's my 5 steps for getting rid of it. And I just don't really like that. Up until this point, basically everything he said thus far, I'm like, oh, okay, there you go.
plague, no less. But he goes, I discarded it because it was within me. That was a breakthrough I sort of had. I was like, oh, I thought I was
I want to discard the sinus mucus that is within me. What would Marcus Aurelius do there?
stressed and anxious and worried because of all of these very reasonable things that cause those things in your life, work, family stuff. And then when all that gets pared down, you realize it's like, oh no, it was me.
Well begun is half done.
Marcus Aurelius has a better morning routine than you, I promise. So he gets up early.
Okay, I don't want to learn a morning routine from some guy who lived 1 billion years ago. Jesus Christ. But let's check it out. I like that people are talking about hip hop music in the chat. That's very fun.
Even though he doesn't want to get up early, even though he doesn't have to get up early.
Everyone in the chat, what's everyone's wake up times? I'm very curious about this. And we'll start. Henry, are you comfortable sharing your wake up time if you have a regular one?
Yeah, it can vary. I'm typically up sometime between 5 and 7. Honestly, though, when I was working a 9 to 5, I was very much like right up until the last minute of sleep in person. I didn't start waking up in the morning until I could kind of choose to do so on more lax terms.
Nice. Yeah, we got a 5, we got a 7, we got an 8, we got another 5, a 7. I mean, I get up pretty late. So my like official work start time is 10 a.m. and I normally get up between 9 and like 9:30. And often I like sometimes only get up in time to like make coffee and a light breakfast before I sit down right here for whatever the first meeting of the day is. So there you go. Vox says, Henry, what the fuck? Another Henry in the chat.
I enjoy being up in the morning. It's kind of a cool time.
Yeah. No, everyone I know, so 7, 9, 9:30, 2 a.m. someone says, 6 to 7, 6:30 p.m. John says, my wake up time is my fiance's. John, way to flex on us. 4 a.m., then subsequently 12 p.m. We got 8:30, another 8:30 between 6 and 6:45. I feel Azalea Jane, in theory 7, in practice 10. Gary Busey, 11. Yeah. Yeah, I like sleeping a lot. So let's see how the ancient man did it.
Early. He made get up early. He says, what were you made to sit
They
here
didn't
under
even
the
have
covers and keep warm, or were
alarms.
you meant to go do the work of a human being? So he gets up early and he goes and he does his work. And what is the first thing you do? I think that he sits down with his journal. Meditation survives to us because it's the private thoughts of the most powerful man in the world. He wrote down these thoughts because they made him better. And then what did he do? He got to work on his most important task of the day. He says, concentrate like a Roman. He says, do this as if it's the last thing you're doing in your life.
I like contemporary Romans way better because I'm pretty sure contemporary Romans sleep in and then they go get espresso and some sort of pastry.
Yeah, it's just like the White Lotus.
Yeah, they meander the streets a little bit. They eat lavish lunches and they drink at lunch. Yeah, I guess someone asked us too. Someone said, what time do you go to bed? I guess that's important too.
Yes.
You know, the bed thing. So Henry, we should have done it in reverse. We're doing it in reverse order. When do you go to bed, Henry?
Typically after 11 p.m. Sometimes I'll sleep midday, honestly, and that's not like, I still basically edit daily. It's just sometimes I'll edit in the evening, sleep during the day.
Yeah.
So again, waking up.
Oh, yeah,
at
so you're a
5 a.m.
napper too. I think that's crucial.
Yeah, I do napping throughout the day sometimes. So like I'll be up early and then I'll stay up till like 2 p.m. Or on a day like this, 4 or 5 maybe.
All right.
Sleep till
That's
like 7
interesting.
or 8 or like
Yeah.
9 till like 2 or 3. It's
Wow.
an irregular product of freelancing. I have comfort and leisure time, but it's also kind of like I'm working constantly, and it blurs the lines between when I'm working and when I'm not. So there's give and take there.
That's wild. Yeah, okay, so I'm the same as James Given Videography, 12-1. I normally I've been getting to bed earlier the last few days since I felt shitty, but yeah, normally I'm a 12-1er. And I don't nap. I want to learn how to nap, but I don't know how to nap. So one thing in this advice about getting up and getting after day, the Aurelia stuff, like I do think this seems to be positing that the telos of the human being is primarily a type of work and productivity that I think involves a reading of like contemporary, call it post-industrialism, call it capitalism, call it neoliberalism, call it whatever you want, call it, I saw someone say this in the chat, Protestant work ethic. It's like taking that as a starting point and projecting the idea that the primary purpose of the human is labor and productivity back into history. And then that's, I feel like, where you get a reading like this.
Very well put.
And and I don't even like begrudge someone for being like, oh yeah, this is like the dominant ideology of the world.
Yeah.
The
feeling I'm getting off this guy is it's like a reactionary understanding of Stoicism as a way of dealing with like pressures and anxieties of the modern world, and that does involve in ways like fetishizing Marcus Aurelius in this like individualist neoliberal sense.
Yeah, James Buchanan says, I don't think Marcus Aurelius was working a wage. Yeah, I don't think he had a 1099 form to worry about.
Yeah, real good point there.
Yeah. I just had that thing where now because of like COVID stuff, when you're sick with something else and you cough, like normally pre-COVID when you coughed, you didn't want the wet cough, and now you want a wet cough, which is gross. Gross. I'm sorry I shared that to you guys, but I did.
That's what Marcus Aurelius did. His morning.
There's a little kid in the back. There's a little kid walking around.
Up for success. He didn't approach
Maybe
the day
spend some more time
he knew that
parenting
well
and less
begun is half
time
done,
doing this.
And so should you. Start your day with a morning routine that lets you own the day from the beginning.
Own the day. Own the day. It is your day that you own. I don't know. Okay, what's this one? Be strict with yourself. And be strict in liking the stream, friends. If you haven't liked the stream, be strict with yourself and like it.
It's called self-discipline. Nobody else signed up for it. You signed up for it. So you're learning and your study and your self-improvement. You have to be sure that you're applying this only to yourself. Marcus Aurelius says, tolerant with others, strict with yourself. The purpose of all this is to make you a better master of
tolerant with others, strict with yourself.
Of yourself. It's not to make you condescending or patronizing or controlling of other people. It's called self-discipline for a reason. It's your discipline over yourself. You leave everyone else and their mistakes and their way of doing things to them.
Don't resent people. This sounds solid.
Marcus didn't like people. I mean, You can't read Meditations and not see this. He opens Meditations with a meditation on how frustrating and obnoxious other people are. And even this.
Oh, he has a tattoo on the other arm too. Before I just saw the obstacle is the way, but his other arm has one too.
This idea of the obstacle is the way.
That's the second time he's used the tattoo in this video.
That quote is him talking about other people, about how people get in our way, how people present obstacles.
Yo, the boy says, my therapist usually says, be patient with yourself. Yeah. Mina Stefan says, I wonder what his take is on ADHD. I bet it's bad. I would bet this is someone who's like, that doesn't like medication and thinks you just have to have like a routine or something. But who knows? He might have a really good take on ADHD. I mean, I'm just guessing.
But he says, in that obstacle, there's an opportunity to actually practice this philosophy that you say you believe, to be good in spite of other people, to be just in the face of injustice.
I feel like people like this don't go to therapy, though. And again, you know what I mean? Like, this is someone who I just feel like wouldn't go to therapy.
Yeah, there's one thing I do remember is Marcus Aurelius does talk a bit about virtue. Like, I believe he has that quote atheists always throw around about, like, if there are, like, lead a virtuous life. If there are no gods, you still lead a good life. And
yeah,
I feel like there's a complete lack of, like, that self-searching as far as what this guy's takeaway from the practice is, as far as, like, defining and figuring out your own virtues. It seems more, again, reactionary in conversation with being pressed upon by cultural anxieties more than anything else.
And you know what it is? It's like it's the human version of, Alex C. Thank you for Alex C. says he has ADHD and he admits going to therapy. See, my bad. Thank you for calling me out. But I think that there's something similar to the ChatGPT article by Chomsky and co. in that they're making this point that machine learning can think about a lot of stuff, but it struggles to think about the whys. And by why I mean WHY. So like I think that with some of this stuff, people that get excited about ideas like this and want to use them for certain ways struggle with the question of the why we do these things. I know it's not as exciting because often the whys might not lead to like crushing and stuff. Okay, Alex C is schooling us. Thank you so much, Alex C, for sharing all this. I'll go. Keep going, Henry.
I was just gonna say it gets back to just the question of like what is value as far as like what people prioritize and organize their lives around, or what we prioritize and organize our AIs around generating.
Yeah, but it's hard. Like there's a balance, right? Because in one sense, it's like way better to, maybe be really into like Marcus Aurelius and Stoic principles than it is to be really into like, I don't know, like Warren Buffett or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a bad example, but you know what I mean.
Earlier, the question of like if this guy would be a fun hang, I'm not sure if it'd be fun, but he'd be interesting for a drink just because I'm kind of like, so what's your brain thinking? What's ticking up there? Like what got you into Marcus Aurelius? Why apply it in this manner? Like what do you do outside of this?
Yeah. Let's get through the rest of this.
To be in the face of intemperance that's being rewarded, to be courageous when everyone else is being cowardly.
Although my philosophy nerd take thus far is like you can get all this but better in Aristotle.
And being rewarded for it. So for the Stoics, people are frustrating, people are an obstacle, but like all obstacles, they're also the way. That's a challenge we can rise to meet. We can be better for wrestling with other people's difficulties. So don't resent people, use them to become better.
Ask yourself, is this essential?
You're busy, I'm busy, but how much of what we're busy with?
No way, Jake. Being early in the Cardi B would rip.
Actually matters. Marcus Aurelius says, ask yourself with everything you do and say, is this essential? Because most of what we do and say is not essential. And he's so right. Most of what we do is because people asked us to do it, or people told us to do it, or that's how we've always done it. Do we actually need to do it? If we found out we were dying tomorrow, would we keep doing it? Would we do it the way we're doing it?
I don't know. If I find out I was dying tomorrow, I'll say it, guys. I think I would want to do opiates. I think I would just be like, you know what? If I'm dying anyways, what is like a drug or a thing that I would never do in my normal life? Let's just do it so I can die having had that experience. I don't know. That's probably not what he wants me to get at here. Thanks for being here. Like the stream. Someone said getting a thumbs down.
So he says, when you ask yourself, is this essential? You eliminate.
Matthew just connected Aurelius to Harris. I'm stoked. It's a good transition for what we're about to do.
So much of what you don't need to be doing. And then he says you get the double benefit of now doing fewer things better. That's why you ask yourself,
I like that. We
this
do
question,
too much stuff.
Is this essential? Do I actually need
I think this with like consumption sometimes. I think we all probably consume a lot of content and stuff. And sometimes I'm like, do I
to be
consume too
doing
much
it?
stuff? Is it
Am
essential?
I doing it the way that it needs to be done? And you ask this of everything you do and say and think.
Remember these mantras.
Number one, amor fati. It didn't happen to you, it happened for you. Fate chose this for you. Accept it, embrace it, bear it, make something of it. That's
Nietzsche
the idea
does
of
it
amor
better.
fati. Marcus Aurelius says, a fire turns everything into fuel and brightness. That's amor fati. Number two, it's about what you do for other people. Marcus Aurelius says, the fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good. Right? The Stoics weren't trying to study this philosophy to be better sociopaths, to be able to make more money for their own sake, to be more famous. It was about what they do for other people, to contribute to your community, to your country, moving the ball forward for humanity. Number three, this puts the other two in perspective. Memento mori. You could leave life right now, as Marcus Aurelius says, let that determine what you do and say and think. Life is short. Do everything as if it was the thought or action of a dying person, Marcus says.
Dying people probably
Life is fragile.
think dumb
The
shit
pandemic
because
has
their brains
reminded
are
us
shutting
of
down.
this. Live while you can. Seize
I don't know. I'm
the
trying to be
day.
mean, but
Those are
like,
three great lessons from
yeah, okay. Let's just I need Harris. I need Harris more than I've ever needed him. I'll start this and then pause it. I want to watch. Okay, I truly want to learn more about this stuff because I do think there's something interesting. And I'll say this: like, there's not a lot of people who have taken ancient philosophical or philosophy adjacent principles and made them marketable, consumable, attractive to people in popular culture. And that is a cool thing to do. I think there's something interesting there. I also think a lot of like, let's say more like radical or existential or whatever philosophy is probably harder to package because it doesn't map onto, like we were saying before, the contemporary ideologies easily. So, you know, there's also that. But there you go. But you know, interesting. We'll check it out soon. Guys, we got Harris on the lottery. As you know, I don't feel good today. I'm getting very tired. So let's watch some Harris. I don't know if I'm going to make it to one, but I'll try my best. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you for being here. Again, it's Wisecrack Live. It's Michael Mucus Head Burns with Henry Naps a Lot, the producer. We're here with this lovely chat. Some people have green usernames because they're members of the channel, which rips. But if you don't, that's still cool. I'm still seeing your comments. Thanks for being here. Let's dive into the Harris hole. Good graphics. I mean, there's not good graphics, but still.
Could change your life forever.
$1.34 billion ticket.
Every year, tens of millions of Americans spend their money.
All right, what's the first thing we noticed in the chat? First thing you know, we saw Johnny for a second. First thing that stands out to you. Henry and I will wait a second, but that was shocking. That was what we just saw was shocking. Green team. We'll see if anyone gets it. I don't know how far the stream is behind the chat right now. So I just want to see. Maybe I'll keep going. But okay, cedar, yeah, but what else? Sweater, yeah, but what else? Yeah, but what else? How about this? You're saying what is there? Okay, we started to get it. Yep. Haircut, no orange beanie. I mean, come on, guys.
On these.
Look at this.
Whoa.
No beanie and a short haircut. Guys, he looks great.
He's a different guy.
Long hair, short hair, yeah, but different guy. The beanie especially, like, he feels less edgy now. But let's see.
Lottery tickets. I always imagine them as like these cool, colorful things, but this is just like a receipt with a barcode. These things are usually at a gas station or a grocery store, and typically you get it from like a guy behind a counter or from one of these cool flashy machines. They cost anywhere from a few cents to like $100. And as more and more people buy tickets, all of that money goes into one big pot, the jackpot.
Yeah,
and
because the beanie looks
and it
cool
grows,
with the hair.
and sometimes can rack up to like $2 billion.
That much money? Yes, sir.
I mean, I know the odds are small here, but if you're in the chat, if you have ever won a lottery or something, even a small amount, let us know. I'd love to hear about
Mega
it.
Millions drawing to break $1 billion.
1.3 billion.
1.9
I just kind of don't believe that.
0.04
This is
billion.
all
And
real.
even though everyone buying tickets presumably wants to win the jackpot, at the end of the day, after all the ping pong balls and the numbers and the weird game show looking things, only one person actually does.
$1.9 billion.
I can't believe it.
Then it can be yours for just $2.
Meanwhile, everyone else is left just a little poorer.
Phoebe, you don't have any of the first 5 numbers.
This is
Phoebe,
the lottery.
she was
It
crazy.
is a government-sponsored gambling game that is surprisingly human. Like, we've been doing this for thousands of years, and we will probably continue to do it for thousands more. And not just like in the United States, all over the world. And it's almost always the government who's running the lottery. Okay, so like a
like
little
that.
harmless fun that helps the government make a little extra money, it's not a big deal, right? No, these are not small numbers. This is not a little anything.
Yes, Johnny's coming for the government today, guys. Tuck in. Luna, thank you so much.
In 2021, Americans spent
Well, someone got $25 on a scratch off. We got some 20s, some 5s. Damn, I'm the Poison won 500. Beatmaster won 200.
over $100 billion on lotteries. 100 billion, that's with a B. These are giant numbers.
Jesus.
This is something we should look into. Okay, so let's dive into this.
Follow the
Why
money, Johnny.
do we
Follow
do
the money.
lotteries? And why is the government running these things? And what do they use the money for? And I guess most importantly, is this even ethical?
Johnny's out here asking why. Johnny's out here following the money. Johnny's out here asking, is this ethical? Those are the questions.
$1.35 billion.
Chance to win $1 million. What would you do with a lot of money?
I mean, there's been so many documentaries on this too, that like winning the lottery just like ruined your life.
Hey, pause real quick. I need to thank today's sponsor,
Wait,
who
which
is
one is it?
BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp.
Oh,
for any
BetterHelp
point
gang.
For no, been doing this for thousands of years.
40,500,000 all in.
BetterHelp sucks so bad, guys. I'm so sorry that sometimes we have to read ads for them, but I hope you know that when we do BetterHelp ads, I'm supposed to say that I use BetterHelp therapy, but if you might have noticed, I've never said that in one of them because I refuse to. Because I think therapy's good, but BetterHelp is bad. What?
One of the first versions of a lottery was over in China. It's rumored that they actually used the lottery to fund some of the Great Wall of China. Oh, and after they chose the numbers, the results are said to have been delivered by carrier pigeon. The Romans, the Dutch,
pretty
and a bunch
cool.
of other governments.
The Romans, I think Aurelius invented the lottery in Rome.
Governments over time and throughout the entire world have done lotteries to usually fund big projects that the government wanted to do. In England, they also loved lotteries, and the settlers who wanted to come here to the New World used lotteries to help fund their trip.
The English love betting on stuff.
Eventually, the monarch of England was like, whoa, guys, wait a second. Don't use your extra money to fund lotteries that make you leave us. Use your money over here. Taxes were kind of a sensitive topic for England. But anyway, the colonists were like, all right, bet. Bet? Like bet?
Natasha just made me feel so seen in that comment. So thank you so much. I'm glad that you're seeing what I'm doing.
You know, like bet. Like bet. Bet. Bet.
34, just putting his age out there. Wow.
I'm not in touch. So they don't do lotteries for 100 years, but then eventually they tried to do a lottery to fund their war against England to become free from England. So yeah, lotteries are not new. They've been used for a long time, and governments have always run them, blah, blah, blah. But in the past few decades, lotteries have turned into something much bigger, and more, they've begun to target a certain kind of person.
I wonder if it's going to be old people or kids. I think it's going to be old people, because I feel like old people love lotteries.
Let's go see if I can win the lottery.
He did it. Johnny really did it.
Okay, I just spent $2 US on a lottery ticket. Let's see what happens. The jackpot for this.
Yes, letter W. If Harris is 34, then 100% makes me 28. That's how it works. That's the science. Nobody question it. Nobody question that math.
This one is $20 million. Seems like a pretty good deal. There's this one lottery called the Mega Millions. It's where a bunch of states put all of their lotteries together into one giant lottery, which means way more people, which also means a way higher jackpot, which then attracts more people, and then it's just like...
Yeah, I want to know what
world.
percentage of the jackpot, or what the percentage is relative.
Why does the government run a gambling scheme that incentivizes people to like spend their money on gambling?
Good question.
We'll get there in a second, just hold on. But for now, I just need to
Tyler, you're not old,
in
you're young.
what is happening in my brain right now. This very human feeling of buying a $2 ticket, so low risk, I didn't have to pay that much, but the potential of $20 million. The Mega Million lottery is making me realize why gambling is so enticing. And for such a simple little game. With Mega Million, you choose 6 numbers, the first one having to be between 1 and 70, and the last one having to be between 1 and 25. No idea how they calculated those rules, but whatever, okay, you choose your numbers. You can also just tell them to choose the numbers and an algorithm will do it for you, which is like, listen, I already
Vox, that story about Murray is amazing.
have an algorithm sort of running my life
34
most of the
rips,
time.
guys.
If I'm gonna gamble, I'm gonna choose the numbers myself. Got a little heated there. Anyway, eventually a bunch of balls go into this.
Yeah, Urinator noted this. When I'm not feeling well, I pause less. So some of you must like this. Some of you must love me when I'm feeling ill, because some of you hate the pauses.
Little spinny thing, and they choose the numbers. And if they choose my numbers,
If you hate pauses, like the stream.
I win $20 million. So at $2 a ticket, we can infer that probably millions of Americans just did this. They went out and bought a ticket like this with hopes of changing their lives. Oh, and this isn't just like once a year or something. This is twice a week. They'll hopefully be
Twice a week?
drawing my numbers tomorrow night, and I will be watching. Anyway, let's get back to the explanation.
I got a special feeling tonight, Marianne.
Not for me.
No. I think our numbers might come up.
So here in the US, you've got a bunch of these big, mega, multi-state lotteries, and they're all run actually by the same nonprofit organization. But then you also have these. You've got these little just instant winners. Like I could scratch this off right now and see if I win. 10 chances to win? We have to do this right now. Where's a penny? No, seriously, we got to do this. Up to $5,000. Wait a minute, this has to be a joke.
Did he win?
What does that say?
Did he just win $1,000?
$1,000.
Did Johnny just win $1,000?
But I don't know.
There's no way.
How's it work?
Oh, no.
You might have to get like 3 of them.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, reveal a.
Oh.
See, I don't know how to gamble. I was like, I just won $1,000. 19, 24.
The key
Come
method's
on.
really gross.
Oh man, the rush is
This
so
table's
real.
so messy.
Womp womp. That's so sad. I was so ready to win today. Okay, sorry.
Okay, good. I would have thought that was fake. If Johnny did that, anyone, I would have thought that was totally fake.
I'm getting out of my like intoxicated buzz of.
Yeah, if you're born in 1984, that means you're in your late 20s. That's what I think.
Gambling, which clearly I haven't done enough. I grew up Mormon, okay? Give me a break. You scratch off this latex, you see if you won, you don't win, I didn't win. It's actually really satisfying, but it's kind of messy. You also have smaller lotteries that are usually
That's what I hate, the mess. I hate messes like that.
more frequent, but they're smaller jackpots, but you have better odds. Anyway, the point is, there are all sorts of lotteries. Speaking of odds, what are my
Scott says, I pay $8 a month to a streaming service lottery, and I always win entertaining program.
odds of winning the big jackpot? According to one statistician who crunched all the numbers, my odds for winning on this ticket is like 1 in 302 million. Which, like, let's be honest, no one really knows what that means. I don't know what that means. Like, what is that? 302 million? That's a bigger number than my brain can fathom. So let's do a visualization. Imagine you have 6.
So someone said old millennials had the best childhood. I agree with that, but you could argue that we have the worst adulthood. But, you know, so it's like a trade-off in life, I guess, you know? It's like you get one thing, but you don't get another thing. I don't know. Maybe Marcus Aurelius probably has something to say about that.
66
Yeah, Vox, if you're born in 1974, that means you're 29 and a half.
bathtubs. I mean, I'm not sure why you need 66 bathtubs. It seems a little bit excessive, but who am I to judge? And yes, I know a lot of you noticed I cut my hair. That's because I couldn't handle not shampooing my long hair, okay? Let's just get it out of the way. I know everyone's been thinking it. Anyway.
He does, though. He's right. And the thing is, like, someone might watch that video and be like, oh, you're so narcissistic. No, Johnny knows. Johnny knows that we know. But I didn't know that he didn't shampoo his hair, and that's a whole other thing, guys. That's a whole other thing.
Got these 66 bathtubs, and each of them is filled to the brim with rice. 4.5 million grains of rice, in fact. How did we calculate that number? Go to the sources. We actually did an analysis to see how many grains of rice would fit into these bathtubs. 4.5 million. So you've got 66 bathtubs and they're all full of rice. And one of those grains of rice is painted gold. Now, close your eyes, walk through the field, and thrust your hand into one of these 66 bathtubs and pick out a grain of rice, and maybe you found the golden grain. But yeah, those are my odds of winning tomorrow night. Not as fun to think of it like that. And this works even if you buy a ton of tickets or use the same
Yeah, call me Uriah. You're right. So starting to have the worst adult
numbers over and over again. None of this really does anything meaningful to change your odds. Mr. Beast did this great video a while back where he bought...
He did what? What did we say, Johnny?
$1 million worth of scratch-off tickets and lost about 300,000. Okay, so we're done with this part of the video. The lottery exists, it's big, you'll probably lose. We all know that. My bigger question here is, why does the government have a monopoly on this gambling game?
That's the question.
Had a lottery ticket, have you?
I just so happen to have one.
Good.
Why
You
did
can't
the
do that. You
government
have to
do
leave
this?
it with me, and I'll look after it for you. You can come visit it anytime you want
Do they
to.
spend more money
Some
on the
economists
lottery,
argue
or
that gambling is this
Okay.
natural thing that
Who
humans
knows?
love to do. So if they're gonna do it anyway, why not use that as a game to generate revenue for the government? But to me, that begs the question of like, what do they actually use the money for? Luckily, there's data for that. And for an example, let's use
thought it was
this giant
schools.
lottery called
I
the
feel like I
Powerball.
heard that.
And let's make the numbers easy here. Let's just say that everyone has bought tickets and the big pot has totaled up to $100 million. Which is like, you know, actually in the ballpark of something that could happen. Half of that
Dennis
money
gets
goes
it.
to fund the jackpot. So let's just say that $40 million is for the jackpot and the remaining $10 million goes to all the smaller prizes. Okay, but under the hood, something else is going on. If you look at all the billboards for the Powerball at this moment, it will actually advertise it as $67 million for a reason that I will explain in a second. But the point is that only 50% of all the money generated goes to the people who bought the tickets. So the question is, where does that other $50 million go? Well, 6% of that $100 million goes to all of the gas stations and convenience
But yeah, you gotta pay the gas stations. Jihin says the young millennials I taught were great too. They still had hope and change being possible. Hell yeah.
stores and like other
My Gen Z are hopeless and distracted. I don't blame them.
businesses who sell the tickets. They get in on some of this. 9% of the $100 million, so like $9 million bucks, goes to pay all the people and expenses associated with like running
Oh,
the
Man
lottery,
on Couch
all that.
Productions. Thanks for being here. All the way from South Africa. You're one of the first South Africa shout outs we've had. So hope you're doing well down there, over there. It's very far away, whichever direction it is.
Advertising and like the
I don't even know what time it is there. It's probably, is it really late?
employees
Is it
and
really
stuff.
early? I don't
These
know.
are private companies that contract with the government to run and advertise the lottery. That leaves us with $35 million of our original $100 million, which according to Powerball's website goes to quote, good causes supported by the lotteries.
Oh, good
Womp
causes.
womp. What does that mean? What are good causes? The Powerball website won't tell you much, but we did research into this, and we found that from state to state, the definition of good causes changes. In a lot of states, this money goes to quote,
I know, what a sick phrase, good causes. Because it's like we're not asking what the good is, who the good is, who determines the good, you know?
education. Like in Virginia, in
Oh, Man on Couch, 10:30 p.m. Oh, yeah, awesome. And thank you for watching this, Pharrell. It means a hell of a lot.
2022, where the lottery money was used to fund almost $780 million of the public education budget. This is good. Leveraging humans'
That's cool.
obsession with gambling to like fund the education of our children. I'm super into it. Oh, until you realize that, yes, they give all this money to the education, but then they reduce the existing budget so that it ends up basically being the same number, which means the lottery doesn't actually give any extra money to the education system. That is so stupid. Oh, and the money isn't even distributed in an equitable way. The funding a lot of time goes towards scholarships, colleges, and ends up benefiting wealthier schools. So yeah, that's what they mean by education. Kind of deceptive, not cool. But then there's other places where the lottery pays for things that we take for granted that probably never would cross your mind, like in Colorado, where the state spent $14 million on their parks and wildlife in 2019,
That's cool. I like that. I like that lady kissing the wolves.
using profits from the lottery. Or in Nebraska, where they use the money to fund like their state fair. Like, who would have guessed?
Fairs
Oh,
are
and this is a
fun.
good one. In Minnesota, they've spent over $51 million of lottery profits to
Love
fund
Minnesota.
organizations that help people who are addicted to gambling. Like what? Like, we're using the lottery money to help people
I mean,
not gamble.
I guess.
I don't know. That means it's just
I
that
don't
one's a weird
know.
one to me. Okay, so governments use the lottery money to do government things, build infrastructure, fund public programs, and stuff like that. Cool. Okay, wait, but why does the government have to collect money in this weird way? We'll get to that.
The government does so many weird things, guys.
I promise. But in a sec, I know everyone's wondering about what happens to the winner.
He's gonna have over
Their life is ruined.
$1 million. Wow! How does that sound?
These lucky ducks who just walked into tens of millions of dollars. Like, how much am I gonna get tomorrow night when my numbers are picked? Just sort of manifesting, you know?
Oh,
in our little
love
scenario,
Minnesota.
remember that
This is a Minnesota-friendly stream and chat and everything. Like the stream. Like the stream if you want me to get back to full health for next week.
they had advertised $67 million, and that really, it was $40 million that was allocated to the winner. How does that all work out? That is because when you win the jackpot, you can get it in two different ways. You can get it all at once, or you can get it slowly over the course of 29 years.
I feel like you go slow, right? I feel like you go slow tax-wise, right?
If you get the cash all at once, then the government immediately takes out 24% of federal taxes. And then, of course, the state will get their taxes. So like here in DC, it's like 9.75% that's taken off. So even though you were advertised $67 million, the actual jackpot was the $40 million. So really, you walk away with about $26 million. The reason it was advertised as $67 million is because of the other option. If you take it slowly over the course of 29 years, then the government holds on to that money and invests it in like bonds, and it gains interest. And they project that over that time, it will actually be a total payout of $67 million. That also gets taxed.
Wow, so patience is a virtue, because Marcus Aurelius says, when you win the lottery, be patient.
Bunch of ways and whatever. And
John said, if I won the lottery, like 5 people would ever know. I wonder, okay, here's what I wonder. If there's a thing in the lottery where if you win, you contractually like have to make it public that you won. Because I agree with John. I would want to keep that shit locked down tight. I would want that to be a secret. I would not want people to know that I won the lottery. But maybe it's a thing where you have
and
to.
Eventually you end up with about $43 million if you do the overtime. So $26 million versus $43 million, depending on if you take it all at once or take it overtime. The point is that once again, even with the winner, the government makes a lot of money off of lotteries. And this is the number that should blow all of our minds. The US federal and local lottery revenue in 2020 was around $27 billion. $27 billion in government revenue because of the lottery.
I don't know. I mean, that could pay for a lot of stuff, right? Like, that's just so much money. And, you know, some would say that in America, that education isn't great. Healthcare is not great. The roads aren't great, but we got the lottery money.
It feels a little messed up because I thought we already had a way of funding the government. Isn't that just called taxes?
Look, we got the Powerball number! We won $3!
Is this where he goes anti-tax? I want Johnny to go.
Wow, you think we should get that over 20 years or go for the big payout?
Hello, America. I'm John Crow. It is Tuesday, January 17th.
Okay.
It's $20 million. To win the jackpot, you must match these 5 whammies plus that gold mega ball. Now, see if I can make you.
That was a wet cough, guys. That was a wet cough.
A millionaire.
I already lost. This. Back to the video. So now we can answer this question. Why does the government run a gambling scheme? And it boils down to
That's the big question.
this. Lotteries were illegal in the
Us
United
at Base
States for a
Harris?
very long time. Public opinion was very against them. But then in the 60s, New Hampshire needed money. At the time, they didn't have a sales tax or an income tax. They were running low on tax revenue to fund their schools. So they passed a law that allowed them to start a sweepstakes to raise funds for their schools. And it kind of worked. They made money. I mean, presumably, right? And then other states were like, wait a minute, we can make taxes into a fun game and no one will get mad at us? And the answer is yes, you can. It's called the lottery. And so a bunch of other states started to adopt it. And now we're headed into an
taxes are the ultimate fun game.
Era that is characterized by lower and lower taxes.
By lowering everyone's tax rates,
Our guy, he showed up. If you're new here, Wisecrack, people are always like, what are your politics? You know, why do you guys whatever? It's Reagan. Everything we do is for Reagan. It's what we want. We stand with
all the way
Reagan.
up the income scale. Each of us will have a greater
Reagan is our God, and you all who watch this at work are the troops.
incentive to
And we support the troops.
climb higher, to excel, to help America grow.
Taxes have never been popular, but this was a time when taxes
Vox is just fact checking Johnny hard, and we love
really started to hit a new low. So after years of being illegal, the lottery is back, and it is back with a vengeance. Soon you have these multi-state national lotteries, and the government starts to make millions and then billions of dollars of tax revenue that they weren't getting from just boring old taxes. Okay, so the lottery is just another tax, but who ends up paying these fun voluntary taxes? The people who pay them are the ones who don't really have the means to. Poorer and less educated people are the ones who play the lottery most.
Yes, long live Congress. Whoa, why did Bill Nye just show up?
Lottery is mostly a tax on people who don't know math.
The lottery ends up as a tax on those who can least afford it.
It's a tax on the poor.
But most of that money is spent by low-income consumers.
In South Carolina, one report found that people who make less than $35,000 a year spent more than double on lottery tickets than people who make over $100,000 a year. Let that sink in for a second. Double. They also found that people of
Players in the non-house
color are more likely to buy lottery tickets than white players. One study found that in almost every state, whether it's by design or not, neighborhoods that have lottery retailers have a higher poverty rate than neighborhoods that don't have lottery retailers. Remember, this is
well, also like really nice rich neighborhoods never have like corner stores and stuff because they just get everything delivered.
These retailers are following the demand. So yeah, you start to see a picture of the government using the desperation of those who are less educated to generate revenue that they don't get from boring old regular taxes. And then I think the moment that actually gets me here is that money that
Johnny's getting fed up, guys. He's turning soon. By the end of 2023, he's gonna be spitting. I really think it's coming.
Revenue goes to fund things that isn't often beneficial to the poorer communities that bought the tickets and paid the taxes. So yeah, that is the lottery. The question is, why do we keep doing this? And again, it goes back to that very shrewd economic argument. Humans.
Do you guys think Wisecrack videos would be better if I got to sit at a cool couch like Johnny rather than at that desk? Kind of over the desk. I don't know. I don't know. Vox wants to debate Johnny. That's my new goal, to facilitate. Yeah. I want a Dr. Professor Christopher Maverick, PhD, and Jonathan Harris, whatever, debate. And I want Henry and I to be the facilitators for it. That's our new dream. My other dream is to also maybe have a couch in the office.
Love gambling. They're going to do it anyway. Why not just regulate it and make some extra revenue out of it? But as always, there's some private interests here too, keeping this all alive. Who prints all of these, right? Who makes the latex that goes on the little scratch off? Those are companies that make a lot of money off the lottery. And they actually have lobbyists keeping the lottery alive.
Of course the lobbyists are involved. Someone says, I would love to do Wisecrack videos outdoors. We had a couple videos we did where we filmed some segments outside. And I kind of still want to do those. But yeah, I definitely need bylighting.
So yeah, the lottery exists, and we'll probably...
Or maybe we could, in our studio, just put like a bed in, and every Wisecrack video, I'm just laying in bed, and the video starts with me being like, waking up. Like, oh, I didn't see you there.
Always exist. I mean, humans love gambling, and taxes exist and are necessary. We need to fund our government. But do we need to run a gambling
urinator? I like that idea.
Taxes. The specific way that the government runs the lottery today is a regressive tax on the poor. It raises money and it sends that money to places that doesn't benefit the people who are
though. I gotta give it to
funding that tax. And so when we see that gambling funds education or goes to good causes, to me that just feels misleading. We just need to call it what it is. The lottery is a tax on the poor.
He did it, guys. He said it. He ended by calling the lottery a tax on the poor. He's based. Jay Colbeam, I'm glad you like the outside videos. I want to do those again now. I'm going to use that as a justification. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, Henry, do you think in the time that we've regularly been watching Johnny Harris videos on the stream that we've seen him like sliding more towards a slightly critical progressive viewpoint?
Yes, especially we didn't get to the unemployment one last week, but I thought that was a fun one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's been getting on subjects that are more and more interesting to me, even when he is kind of like missing the mark on his conclusions. I'm just finding the topics more engaging.
Yeah, I don't think that Johnny Harris knows that we all exist, guys. Oh, except that his editor followed me on Instagram or something. But besides that, I just think spiritually he's felt our energy, guys. I think we've done this spiritually via sending good energy that way. Okay, guys, you know what? we're going to be pretty abrupt today. We'll be back next week at our normal time. I think that I put in a good game. I brought up Michael Jordan's flu game at the beginning of the stream. You know, we're 15 minutes away from our normal endpoint. If you haven't liked the stream, please like it now. It would help us a lot. But I think I'm going to call it, and we'll see you next week. Consider joining Patreon. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Follow everything on all the things. You know, just follow the things on the things. And I think we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you all next week. Thanks for hanging with us.